Alright, well hey there, I'm just here to bring you this new cool build that I have started working on since the patch came out on April 15th with all the new features and stuff. So the whole point of this build is just kind of a Dungeons Fractal build, and what you're going to try to do is you're trying, in a group setting, you're always trying to see how you can benefit the group more than just yourself. So, as we all know, the old warriors and stuff used to just be, mostly Zerkers, to where you'd have the maximum amount of DPS possible. That way, you could benefit the group by doing the most damage. However, with this new build that I'm trying to work into, I'm trying to see how you can still produce quite high DPS, but by sacrificing some of that, raise the entire group's DPS to, things that have never been seen before. So, I guess we'll just jump right on in here, and we'll go check out the traits to begin with. So, the first difference you'll probably notice is that we're going 44060, versus the old one, which used to be, I think, 65003. I think that's how the new totals are. So, if you just look at this, if we start on, we're going to start on tactics, because the whole point of this build rests with, Phalanx's strength. So this is one of the new ones that came in from the feature pack. This is one that you have to go, it's really easy to get. For this one, all you have to do is find the sunken chest in the Ship of Sorrows, which is over in the Straits of Devastation. So all you have to do is swim down there. There's quite a few people doing that, in these few days that we've had since it came out. So you should easily be able to go grab that. So nothing hard there, or you could go buy it, but I'd just say go grab it because, why not? It's an easy one. So the whole point of this build rests on this, and if you read it, it says, when you grant yourself might, you grant it to near allies as well. So, you grant might anytime that you get it within a radius of 600. And a radius of 600 is more than enough for a stacked group. You don't have to stack straight on the boss, but if you have everyone's close to the boss, not all frayed out, which is what you're going to be doing in most groups anyways, everyone's going to be getting all of that might. So the whole point of this is what we're trying to do is try to have 25 stacks of might at all times when you're running Dungeons of Fractals. Because the fact that might gives you both power and condition damage, as you see here. In this case, I'm in a level 59 area, so it gives you just a little bit less power and condition damage than, what you'd see in a level 80 area. So, I think it's 35 is usually what it is. So you're getting power and condition damage, which for every class, that will raise your DPS. No matter if you're just, going for pure physical, which is power, pure conditions, which is condition damage, or even a mixture of both, which then you're getting double the benefits. So I mean, everyone's known that might has been so very good. So the whole point of this is trying to see how we can get 25 stacks of might. So, that's just one of the main things of this build. So then going back down, so that's what we're trying to do. So going back up to strength here, we have the usual dual wielding, because for some unknown reason the great sword still counts as a dual wielding in a sword in your offhand. So, go figure there. But and then slashing power, of course, with the old greatsword build. A lot of the new builds for Zerkers are going with axe mastery now because of the fact that they're trying to do dual axes or still do the axe mace combination. And since you're not going to be using the greatsword anymore, you're going to be wanting to use the new ferocity, which gives you the critical damage. But if you'll notice, the thing that we dropped here is that we don't have this the Grandmaster trait up here in strength. Which the one that we always took was the adrenaline. You got 15% extra damage if you had the adrenaline boost. So you're thinking to yourself, well, you're already dropping 15%. I mean, you think that would already make this, debunk. However, if you think about it, that 15% is less than what you're going to get with 25 stacks of might. So, go figure there. Plus, there's a new thing. Because of how the greatsword works, its skill, your adrenaline skill, your burst skill, if you look at it, it gives you fury, alright? And fury gives you crit chance, just a base 20% crit chance. So, what you're wanting to do is get Fury as much as possible. That way you can crit more, and we'll see why in just a bit. So we dropped the 15% damage for keeping our adrenaline, so one thing we want to do now is start using our adrenaline. Well, we'll see why we want to use that. Because now we go back down here, we have Deep Strike. In this case, the Deep Strike can be used between Rendering Strikes or Deep Strike depending on what you're running. If you look down here, I'm running 3 signets right now. The 4th one here might... people have been trying to figure out why. We're thinking that with the new April 15th update, for some reason Might, if you put it on, it stays there, or this Might signet here is actually either Deep Strike or Empowered, and for some reason it just has that symbol. Don't know why, but it is what it is. Or some other people are... It's weird, but I'm only just running the 3 signets, the Signet of Rage, the Signet of Fury, and then the Healing Signet. So that gives me an extra, I think it's 40 at 80, so you get about an extra 120 precision from that, which is nice. Or you could go Rendering Strikes if you really, want that extra vulnerability, but in this case we're wanting precision, so Deep Strikes is still probably the way to go, unless you don't use that many signets. However, for this you're probably going to want to use at least those 3, and probably just those 3. And then other than that, this is where the main thing comes right here. It's your favorite one from the old times, which was Forceful Greatsword. So with Forceful Greatsword, this is where it gets really fun. So with Forceful Greatsword, every time you crit, you get Might. So now you're starting to see where it's all coming together. So with Forceful Greatsword, you're getting stacks of Might whenever you crit. And so, if you think about it now, we're trying to say, hey, we need to crit as much as we possibly can to get 25 stacks of Might. So, because that's how we get the strength working, and that's how we give it to all of our allies. So, what we're trying to figure out there is how can we get as much Might as possible. So that just brings us now to tactics. So with tactics, we're just going to take the 2 for the kind of the group setting. So one is going to be Empowered, increases damage for every boon on you. It doesn't work with stacks, so you might think, wow, that would give you 25%, damage if you had 25 stacks of Might. However, it just, from what everyone, from the people who used to use it, it's pretty much just every different boon on you. So, if you have a Guardian in your group, you can get about, 8%, maybe somewhere around 5 to 8% as usual with that, because of the fact that, Guardian will just keep giving you boons for pretty much the entire time you're there. And the other one is the Empowered Allies. So, a lot of the new Zerker builds are trying to use this in them. So why not just kill 2 birds with 1 stone, let them just stay real Zerker, and then you use Empowered Allies, because that all it does is just increases the power of allies near you, and it's also a radius of 600. So if they want to stay close to get the power bonus from Empowered Allies, and they're going to stay close enough to get the extra 25 mites of stacks of Might. So it's going to work out to be really, really good. So you're wanting a close-knit group that's all staying together. So to go along with this, you're thinking that with just with those traits alone, you're not going to be able to get the stacks of Might all the way up to 25 unless you have like 5 guys that you can just kind of keep critting. Well, here's where the interest of the build goes, is when you go to the equipment. So right now I'm using Knight's gear just because of the fact that I was running some of the higher dungeons, and I was trying to teach some groups how to do some of the dungeons, so I wanted to have some more survivability. But the great part about this build is you don't have to be a berserker for this. You can easily go you can easily go Knights and still do well, because of the fact that the only difference between Knight's gear and Berserker's gear, for the most part, is the fact that you have the same amount of precision. So between, like, see, it's 32, 32, 45. If you look over here, it's 45, 32, and then ferocity is 32. So what you do is you lose a bit of power from Berserkers. However, you have the same amount of precision, so your critical hits are still going to be as relevant as they are, whether or not you're using Knights or Berserker's gear. So the only thing you're losing is just a little bit of power, and the extra critical damage. but you're gaining, some survivability, which, can go a long ways because of the fact that with a full knight's gear, you add about maybe upwards of 800 or more armor to yourself, which can actually go quite a long ways in stopping, you from getting utterly destroyed if you have some of those situations. So, the other thing you'll notice is that I have 6 out of 6 on Superior Runes of Strength. So the new interesting thing they did with the April 15th update is they finally made, Runes of Strength actually, relevant. So if you notice, the odd numbers will give you 175 power just from having those runes. So there's an extra boom, 175 power. So that's pretty nice right there. But if you read the evens, you'll notice it's 10% might duration, 15% might duration, and 20% might duration. And then also 25% chance while struck to gain might for 10 seconds, and plus 7% while under the effects of might. So what you're looking at right there is you're looking at 175 power, an extra 45 might duration. So it's almost, extra 50% might duration. And then you're getting a 25% chance when struck to get might, and then you're getting plus 7 damage while under the effects of might. So remember that 15% that we lost earlier from the adrenaline? Yeah, we're already almost making that, we've made half that back with an extra 7% damage while under the effects of might. Because why? Because we're trying to be under the effect of might all the time. So you should never have to worry about not getting that 7%. So you're starting to see where this is all coming together now. And so, we're getting all of that extra might. And then we go down to our greatsword, because that's what we're going to be using for this. And what we're going to do is put 2 sigils in it, and one of them is going to be the Superior Sigil of Strength, which gives you now, they increased it from 30% to 60% of a chance on critical to gain might. So you're seeing that now, and you're saying, so now every time I crit, I can get might from my trait, on top of the fact that I have a 60% chance to get another thing of might. So you're getting, in actual math, it's 1.6 stacks of might every time that you crit. So you're thinking, wow, that can get me to 25, it'll take a little bit of a time, but, if there's more than one enemy, you can get 25 stacks just, pretty much instantly. So, and then if you see here, I put a Superior Sigil Perception on it. That Perception, if you want, can be changed out for, what people usually use is like a Force or a Knight. Especially all those people with the, like 3 legendaries or so and full ascended gear, which I don't have. I'd like to have it just like everyone else, but I'm just running on bare bones here. So, yeah, you can put a Knight or a Force on it, and get those. And what you can do is put a Perception on a secondary greatsword or secondary weapon if you want. You can switch it out for your greatsword as long as you have a Superior Sigil of Perception on one of your 2 aquatic weapons. Because I don't know how long this has been around, but just if you have 2 of the same sigils, one on underwater and one on your main weapons, as you start getting up those stacks of those plus 10 precisions, they'll stay even if you switch your weapon or take off your greatsword, as long as it has it on an underwater weapon. So you can have a greatsword, throw it on there to get all 25 stacks, and then throw that off, and then go back with your regular Knight or, Undead Slaying if you're doing a Raw. So, it's really, really nice to be able to get that. So that'll just give you some extra damage if you're trying to do, specific dungeons and not just, trying to have, just fun with, random group stuff. If you have your own organized groups, that'll give you a little bit of a boost there. And then other than that, these secondaries, I just have the Axe Mace combo because of the fact that, remember now, you can just reset your traits at any time. So if you have another person that's already going this build, you can easily just switch these on over back to the Berserker build and then just run with that, with the old Axe Mace and then Greatsword on secondary. If you want to, just because of the fact that this build is one that you want only one person running, because even if 2 people run it, that's when you're going to start losing the damage overall, because of the fact that one person keep 25 stacks of might for the entire duration. You don't need 2 people to do that, just 1. So, And then other than that, yeah, right now I've just been running Knight's gear, and so yeah, that's pretty much just all that's to it. It's just you're trying to keep the 25 stacks of might for as long as possible. And so, I mean, and if you think about it, most boss encounters have usually more than one enemy. I mean, we could run down them all and figure out that, you know, there are some that's just the boss itself. But, you know, a lot of times there's always a little few extra adds that they summon, or, you know, they come with extra adds, like, you know, the Spider Queen, you know, that's just tons of spider hatchlings. And the thing about the Spider Queen is the hatchlings come with her, so instantly if you do 100 blades on the hatchlings, 25 stacks just right there. So, you know, that's what it's going to be. If we want to look real quick, we can go on over to Holbrack real quick, and we can see what the precision, your critical strike chance is at level 80, since I was in a level 59 area. So what we're trying to do is get now as much precision as possible, and to if we think about that, since we have the same precision between Knights and Berserker's gear, you know, you have as much precision as you can possibly get, because those are the two, you know, most precision as possible. So here in level 80 area, if you notice, I have 61% critical strike chance, and then, you know, 150 critical damage. So if you know, so if I put down my banner right here, I gained just 8% critical chance, and I'm up to 69. And then if we use Signet of Rage here, which gives you some extra might stacks and fury, which you can also get from the Adrenaline Arcing Slice, your burst skill for your greatsword. So if you don't want to use your Signet of Rage, you can use that to get your fury. Now we're already up to 87%. So if you look at that, we're up to 87%, you know, critical strike chance. So pretty much, you know, only 1 out of every 10 hits is not going to be a critical strike. So you can raise that even higher if you have, you know, your perceptions going on. So there's always little ways to tweak that even more and more. But just as a base for, you know, full exotic gear, you know, with exotic weapon, you know, a few ascended items, as you can see there, you know, you can get up to about, you know, around a 90 with this. So you're going to be having, you know, you're not gonna have too much problem there. And the other interesting thing is now with ferocity. So if I wanted to, so since I'm on Knight gear right now, you might ask yourself, well, why aren't you running full Berserkers of this? Because you're trying to crit as much as possible. You know, why the hell wouldn't you want to use Berserkers? Because the fact that increased crit, since you're critting all the time, why not add to that crit? Well, that's the thing. You can just switch on over to your Berserkers if you need to, and there you go. So just with my regular Berserkers here, I'm already up to just 181 base, because of the fact that with ferocity now, it's every 15 points of ferocity is 1 critical damage. So I think people have been reporting that you've lost about 20 to 30%. So the people who had, you know, like full ascended and stuff, with their critical damage, I believe that their max that they used to have has gone down by about 20%, and some have even reported 30%. So not sure how, you know, not sure if those statistics are actually correct or not, but that's just what I've heard. So you can usually get up to about 200% without much problem, and then if you want to go higher, you can. But yeah, so with this, I added on top of myself 31% critical damage, and by putting Berserker's gear on, if you notice, I haven't socketed these with runes yet, so you know, I haven't tested out with Berserker's gear, but I'm pretty sure that with Berserker's gear you're gonna have even more damage, because of the fact you're just, you know, adding power on top of that. So, you know, that's pretty much the basis of the build. You know, if you have any comments, either put it in the thread or you know, just let me know. Thanks, guys.